We here at the Soccer OG try not to be too contrived. We watch the games and we wait to see the stories come out and we address them. And boy, did we get hit with a doozy this weekend. And in this video, I might go belly up here at some point. I might be biting off more than I can chew. But we're going to try something because there's a lot of moving parts that we all bring in together. And it all stems from ESPN Plus, going full bore into showing the Wrexham games on their FA Cup coverage. And that includes Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney appearing on SportsCenter, going all out to get some viewers based on the success of Welcome to Wrexham. And it delivered. Got 89,000 viewers for ESPN Plus. That is amazing. And it's always going to be compared to Major League Soccer because MLS's ratings, whether it is on linear or streaming, have struggled. Showing some growth. They've had a bit of a roller coaster ride, but immediately, instead of comparing that to NBC's coverage or whatever, it gets compared to MLS, 89,000. We've seen some MLS games get, 100, 150,000. Decision Day, MLS Decision Day, the final weekend has been brought up a lot. And that really got the blood flowing. So we are going to look at Welcome to Wrexham and Major League Soccer and how we can be better storytellers, how we can get people excited about our domestic league here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. We'll have Hercules Gomez, my good friend. We'll talk about this topic in particular and what to make of it. Because it is a phenomenon. It is. It's a good thing. And we can have both. Make sure you like and subscribe our videos here on YouTube. Appreciate everyone who is tuning in. And let's make some, I hope to do this in order, but part of the story is promotion relegation, because that is what draw Ryan and Rob to Wrexham, to see if they can get this team in the National League. And who knows, go 4 divisions all the way to the Premier League. That's not going to happen. But they've done really well with this. The show is above average all other shows in its time slot. I was looking for ratings. It started slow, but it's picked up. The game for Wrexham, and that went to a replay. And now we're going to have Wrexham Sheffield United in the 4th round. Winner hosts Tottenham Hotspur, and you can imagine ESPN will get a much bigger number than 89,000 for that. You can take that to the bank. Certainly possible to happening. Things are going well for Wrexham. They are tied for first place in the National League with Notts County. And I believe 2 teams get promoted. So they are going to get promoted because those top 2 teams are way ahead of 3rd place Woking. Woking, the hometown of the Jam. Remember the Jam? A town called Malice. Well, I think they're all from there. Paul Weller certainly is. Anyway, back to this. So they're doing well. In addition, the business of Wrexham, TikTok, Aviation Gin, these 2 gentlemen paid $2.5 million. They're investing in to get the players to come up. Most notably, Paul Mullen, who was the top scorer in League 2, which means he probably should have been promoted to League 1. Instead, he came down to Wrexham, if you watch the show. Just before I go any further, I enjoy the show, but it's 18 episodes. I got episode 12, 13. I'm like, it's not my jam. I don't find Wrexham all that interesting, the town. And I've seen the English soccer story, Sunderland Till I Die, and so many more. I've watched this sport a long time. So I may not be the target audience. I do believe the target audience is new fans like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, who have seen how cool promotion relegation is. And it is. So people are visiting Wrexham. They are going to the pub that is the centerpiece of the show. I got to tell you, there's a million places to go. So if someone's going to Wrexham to go to the pub, that means the show is making an impact. I would not be one of those. I would like to go to, I don't know, the French Riviera, maybe the Basque Country, anywhere. But there you go. People are wearing Wrexham shirts. I saw one a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles. So this has been a success. They're going to have a season 2, and it's got people excited. That is great. Ted Lasso, similar effect. got people excited for the sport, got new viewers. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There is, there are some contradictions. A lot of people like the David versus Goliath aspect to this matchup. And we're getting to know the players and the town folks. If you watch that Sheffield United game, there wasn't much separating Sheffield United and Wrexham. Wrexham aren't a National League team anymore. They are much better than that. You look at the numbers they're putting up. They are a League Two, maybe even... if they make League Two, they're going to, I think, push towards League One under these circumstances. Because they're not David versus Goliath. The David in Welcome to Wrexham is Yeovil and Torquay, who are getting torched by Wrexham. So it's it's kind of a weird contradiction there, but still, I love that these guys invested in the sport and now they're pushing this. And Welcome to Wrexham is just going to grow, much like Ted Lasso did. And look, the English soccer world is interesting. It was a big hook for me when I started broadcasting. Many years have gone by and I've kind of pivoted a bit. I still love English football. I'm a big West Ham fan. And I watch cup competitions. I watched a lot of FA Cup this weekend as well. So we've established that. Now the comparisons to Major League Soccer and how an interesting story from Wrexham and where are the interesting stories from Major League Soccer, and people have been getting very petty about it. I will be the first to say that there are very interesting stories in Major League Soccer. Matt Turner, for instance, when he was with New England, a guy who didn't get into soccer late and now is playing for Arsenal. Played this weekend in the FA Cup, in fact. Young Ecuadorian players that have come to this league from impoverished backgrounds in their home country and now playing here. I want to know about that story. I want to know about players, it's not an MLS story, but many American players like Chris Richards and Tanner Tessman playing soccer in the Deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, or even the Deep South with these MLS teams. That's interesting to me. That we're an area in the world, in this country, that you never thought soccer would catch on. Not only are those clubs doing well with fans, but that area is developing great players. Chris Richards is from Alabama. That's unbelievable. I never thought I would see the day. You go back to NASL, you go back to Pele, interesting story that is part of American soccer and what led to Major League Soccer. Great fan bases, if you want to do the Wrexham comparison with what we've seen in Seattle and Portland. Burgeoning fan bases in Cincinnati and Nashville, Atlanta. The LAFC 3252 for the club I work with. A fan base that has caught the imagination. All the stories are there. We've just got to have a better outlet. And I've told you in past shows, and Major League Soccer has never been given that. And that's a fact. I sit there and I watched ESPN, and I had a past video, many of you checked it out, about the lack of putting it on the top line of seeing MLS at the top of a show or what have you, where they've really gone above and beyond. So the Wrexham game, I think it was Hannah Storm, and there's Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. Big feature about it. It was great, but that's never happened for MLS when MLS was a property of ESPN's. How does it work for MLS? So the storytelling is going to be there. We got to be patient. I truly believe what happens with Welcome to Wrexham will benefit the MLS storytelling. MLS now with a great TV partner in Apple TV. I don't know a whole lot. I'll be part of that production, and I can tell you that Apple's going to be a great partner for that storytelling. Don't tell me there's not good stories there. There are. And we've got to remember, and we'll use English soccer as a comparison, that MLS is in diapers. English football started in the mid-1800s. The Football League was founded in 1888. Major League Soccer is 27 years old. So we're getting there. And the supporter culture, which was non-existent 10, 12 years ago, has become the biggest story in MLS. The people who go to the games, there was no attendance, and now people are going and they are diehards. This takes time to build. So be patient to the MLS fans. It will get there. So a big part of it that people feel that MLS is lacking is promotion relegation. Ah! Wow, I mean, promotion relegation gets people up in a tizzy. And I, for one, would love to see it. Promotion relegation definitely benefits what you see at the bottom of the ladder. But while we're talking about English football, I want to make it abundantly clear that promotion relegation is not this magic wand that makes the soccer, the sport, better. It's not. Let's take Everton, for example. Everton has not won in 8 games. They have 3 wins in 20 games, 1 win in 11. They're not doing much in an attempt to stay in the Premier League. Don't really deserve to be in the Premier League, but they're 2 points out of safety. And we talk about relegation like everyone tunes in for these games because at this stage of the season. Well, people don't. Everton played West Ham, and I think Nottingham Forest played Bournemouth, 2 relegation battles. I can assure you, people are not tuning in to see those games. Those games get interesting in the final 2 weeks of the season. Everton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest game fans are tuning in. The neutrals are not. So, promotion relegation has not made Everton or Southampton more compelling. The idea that they're going to get dropped is, but to say that they're going to be heartbroken, they don't deserve to stay in the Premier League with what they've been doing, but they have a shot. So I'm not tuning into Everton games until the very end. So that's a small part, promotion relegation, of your daily. I am tuning into Arsenal, Manchester United. Everyone is. The numbers for the top teams, and just like America and England, they love the heavy hitters. And I will tell you this. We saw the rush of the Super League. Don't be surprised if the Premier League, some years from now, locks their top 20 teams and say, this is the Premier League, no one's getting relegated. There's too much investment. You know, people look at MLS and talk about the money that's being invested. There are $150 million for expansion teams. People want this money to be shared. They feel like the ownerships are greedy. I'm like, what? Hello? If you looked at this transfer market, the big clubs are going to want to raise that standard and not worry about Burnley and Norwich and this and going back and forth. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but don't be surprised if someone pitches that at some point. So, as much I love relegation and promotion, and I was with West Ham and we got relegated a couple times we had to play there in the English Championship. But it's suffering. It's not good football. It's not. I said again, I would like to see it. But the question about promotion and relegation, Major League Soccer is just not ready. They are too young. Look at it, the single entity program. If there was promotion relegation, it would get out of MLS's hands. It would go to U.S. Soccer. USL wants to see if their teams get promoted. USL does not have national revenue. It doesn't make economic sense for MLS to allow USL teams to come up. Not now. Promotion relegation would protect MLS from these unsuccessful clubs perennially underperforming. That will happen. I will say some of them are trying to do better. In this offseason, the Houston Dynamo, DC United, 2 teams at the bottom, have been active. They want to get better. Doesn't mean they are. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be these dead duck clubs because you have to keep up with the Joneses. Some would say, look at what they're doing in New England. New England's annually a very competitive team. So we got to look at the history of MLS too. And I think you've got to be compassionate about how they got here. All right, so this was a league that was in major peril, right? They had MLS at one point lost $250 million in its first 5 years. The budgets were frozen. The league contracted. The Miami Fusion, Tampa Bay Mutiny out. They went down to 10 teams. They now have 29. So they have been doing good business, single entity style with steady growth. Is it exciting? No. Would I like to see the salary cap extended? Yes. But MLS has survived because they have been the tortoise, not the hare. And to me, I've seen it work, so I can't be too critical. In 2002, There were only 3 owners in MLS. Phil Anschutz owned 6 teams. There was no ownership. Now there is. There's individual, every club's owned it. Every club now has, almost every club has their own stadium. We're getting very close to that. I can't believe that this has happened. So all these things are successful for MLS. The money's getting invested by new ownership. It's not the time to share that. MLS needs to get on better footing. Who knows if that is going to happen? So if you think you click your fingers and promotion relegation is going to come in and rescue this, it's not. It's not ready yet. You can't tell these owners that they've invested this money, hey, you might be dropping down to whatever second division will be called, because they will not want to invest. And the MLS will still want to bring some new ownership groups in here. They're looking for that money. Look, would I like to be an owner and spend money in that way? Yes, would I like these rich owners? But that's the nature of the beast in soccer now, right? It's the money is pumping in, and that bodes well for MLS. But as we get back to the first case, how do we make people care about it? We've got to empower people. It's there. The stories are there. They're so much better than they were 5 years ago, and they're certainly so much better than they were 10 years ago. I look at some of the great stories that we didn't really plug into in MLS. DC United winning 3 titles in the first 4 years. How about really pushing what David Beckham and Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane were able to do with the LA Galaxy and create a tremendous championship team there with so many high-level personalities. This is a very delicate spot. I don't know if I did it any justice. And I know people are hell-bent with promotion relegation, but I can assure you it's not the time. And people say, do it now before it gets too inflated. It doesn't work that way. It's not your money. It's not my money. There was no money in MLS. The fact that there's ownerships that are trying to bring this in here and make it solvent is a good thing. And maybe one day we move away from single entity. Maybe we extend the salary cap and there are super teams in MLS, just like they are in England or Spain. But it's not welcome to Wrexham's fault. If soccer fans, we've got to stick together. We can't be divided. So we should support that as MLS fans and hope things will get better. There is some good things on the horizon for this league, I can certainly assure you. And we look to turn a profit. MLS, again, hasn't gone to that point yet, but it certainly feels like it's heading there. Soccer is doing okay, could always do better. And promotion relegation isn't this one-all, end-all that makes the sport better. Look at Everton and Southampton. You don't want to watch that. You don't want to watch that. I know I left a few things out. Maybe this is for a discussion on another show, but the Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. The Soccer OG here on YouTube. Maybe one day we have Pro Rel, but that day is not today.